The sun was blazing over Canaan, and Joseph was just walking, vibing, not knowing his life was about to flip completely. He had that colorful robe on, bright, loud, impossible to ignore. His dad loved him heavy, like main character energy levels of love. But his brothers? Yeah, they were not feeling that at all. Every step Joseph took toward them just added fuel to something ugly. Jealousy that had been cooking for way too long. Joseph had these wild dreams too, like cinematic, this means something big kind of dreams. He saw his brothers bowing to him. Even the sun, moon, and stars bowing. And he said it out loud. Yeah, wrong audience. His brothers heard that and instantly went from annoyed to this guy has to go. In their minds, Joseph wasn't just dreaming, he was stepping above them. One day, far from home, no witnesses, they made their move. They saw him coming and didn't hesitate. They grabbed him, ripped off that robe, and threw him into a deep pit. Just like that, no warning, no mercy. 1 minute he's walking. Next minute he's surrounded by darkness, shouting, confused, betrayed. Joseph cried out from that pit, loud, desperate, echoing. But above him, his brothers sat and ate like nothing had happened. That silence hits hard. Not just betrayal, but choosing not to care. They heard his voice and turned away from it. Then a caravan passed by, traders heading to Egypt. And suddenly, one brother had an idea. Why let him die when we can sell him? And just like that, Joseph was pulled out, not to be saved, but to be sold. 20 pieces of silver, that was the price of their brother. Egypt was different, powerful, busy, unfamiliar. Joseph was sold again, this time to Potiphar, a high-ranking official. And here's where things shift. Even after everything, Joseph didn't give up. He worked. He stayed disciplined, and somehow, everything he touched began to succeed. Potiphar noticed. You don't ignore results like that. Soon, Joseph was placed in charge of everything in the house. A slave, now leading. It didn't make sense on the surface, but something greater was clearly with him. But life wasn't done testing him. Potiphar's wife began pressuring him daily. She tried to pull him into something wrong. But Joseph stood firm. He chose integrity over comfort. He chose what was right, even when it was hard. One day, things escalated. She grabbed his garment, trying to force him to stay. Joseph didn't argue. He ran. But that right choice came with a cost. She twisted the story, accused him, and suddenly Joseph went from trusted to imprisoned. Back in prison, it looked like everything had reset again. But Joseph stayed the same. He kept serving, kept helping, and again, he was trusted. Soon, he was placed in charge, even in prison. Then came the dreams again. 2 prisoners were troubled, searching for answers. Joseph stepped in and said the answer comes from God. He interpreted their dreams, and everything happened exactly as he said. Before one of them left, Joseph asked to be remembered, but time passed, and he was forgotten. Days turned into months, months into years, still waiting, still unseen. Before one of them left, Joseph asked to be remembered, but time passed, and he was forgotten. Days turned into months, months into years, still waiting, still unseen. Joseph didn't take credit. He gave it to God. He explained the dreams, years of abundance followed by famine, and gave a plan to prepare. Pharaoh saw it clearly. This man was different. And in a single moment, Joseph went from prisoner to second in command over all of Egypt. The famine came, just as Joseph said. It spread everywhere, even back home. His brothers came to Egypt for food and bowed before him, not knowing who he was. Joseph recognized them, but they didn't recognize him. He tested them, not to harm them, but to see if they had changed. And this time, they chose differently. They protected their brother. They showed growth. Then the moment came. Joseph could not hold it in anymore. He revealed himself. "I am Joseph." Silence filled the room. Shock, fear, regret. But Joseph chose something greater than revenge. He chose forgiveness. He said, "You meant evil, but God meant it for good." In that moment, everything connected. The pit, the pain, the prison, it all had a purpose. He brought his family to Egypt. He provided for them. He restored what had been broken. The story that started in a pit ended in restoration. And as the story settles, the lesson starts to rise naturally from everything we've seen. Joseph's life shows that setbacks are not the end. The pit did not stop him. The prison did not define him. Each moment that looked like defeat was quietly building something greater. It also shows that doing the right thing matters, even when it costs you. Joseph chose integrity when no one was watching, and even when it led to prison, it still shaped his path forward. Right choices are never wasted. And maybe the biggest lesson, what others mean for harm does not have the final say. Joseph's story reminds us that even painful moments can be turned into something meaningful. Not instantly, not easily, but eventually. So from start to finish, this wasn't just a story about a dreamer. It was a story about patience, growth, faith, and purpose. A reminder that even when life feels off track, something bigger could still be unfolding.